What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
It's so nice to be co-hosting the Pop here with you, Ben. Let's just dive right into the corny joke, I think.
Wow. I'm going to allow it because there's a springboard effect that has to happen. Like, we do this witty banter at the beginning of every episode where we go back and forth.
We're so witty.
We go back and forth about who the one true host truly is.
I saw that.
And it's always difficult because I love it and we need it and it's an essential part of the Pop. Like, if we don't do it, like, what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
But the problem is that it's extremely difficult to segue out of an argument that we have every single week into any topic whatsoever.
Well, let me just say that I noticed on this front last week that, so since we were being recorded, there was a few different elements that were at play.
There were.
One of which is that people can now see the trophy.
They can.
So there was a really sneaky moment in the last episode where you leaned over to take a sip of water and I pulled the trophy back to the center.
I saw that.
And you didn't see it in the moment though.
I didn't see it in the moment,
Yeah.
but I believe later in the episode I scooted it back.
You did scoot it back, but we were watching it live, hanging out in the during the premiere. And I think you're supposed to be 10 seconds ahead of me, and you were like, "Did you move the trophy?" And I was like,
I had no idea. I had no idea.
What are you talking about?
It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so funny. So very exciting. But then, with that though, the other hilarious things, we have to have our argument about who's the one true host. But then following that, we're also supposed to have a corny joke in every episode, which in the video debut of the Pop, we did not have one.
We didn't have one, and I don't think we had one the week beforehand either. So we're falling behind on the corny jokes.
It's basically not even a part of the show anymore, and we should just drop the segment forever. I'm lying! Let's totally do it again.
Okay, Ben.
Okay.
What's your corny joke?
My corny joke today comes from Jackson Smith, who actually submitted it via email, popcornculturepod@gmail.com. I could always use some good new corny jokes, because I want to tell you guys that I don't come up with these on my own. Spoilers. Yeah,
wow.
I know.
Wow.
I usually do some scouring of the interwebs.
Do you know what the problem is with that?
Tell me what the problem is with that.
If you just look up dad jokes on the internet, you get there's a lot, but you start getting into reruns real fast.
You do, and it's so funny because people have emailed me corny jokes that are so much better than the ones that are out there on websites where it's top 100 corny jokes. Which is
right. See this? Oh my gosh, this is a weird phenomenon that has happened. It's people know that people want the bad dad jokes. And so they've compiled a list. And then the next person who realizes that wants to make a list to direct traffic to their site. So they look it up themselves. They steal the information. They pull it from two sources instead of just one list. And then those two sources turn into this one new source. And this keeps happening over and over in this funnel effect.
Yes.
And it's the internet's desire to deliver you corny jokes has filtered down to this shallow pool of the worst ones,
of kind of only overused because every single website has the same 100
because they're all stealing from each other.
Yeah. It's like the snowball gift idea that you've talked about before, where it's if your friends and family know that you're into something really specific, then everybody's oh, they love this thing. So I'm always going to, I think for you it was Angry Birds.
Oh yes.
I remember when the app came out, before it became a movie and
I was an original. I was a hipster Angry Bird fan.
I liked it before it was cool.
Do you want to know something I learned about Angry Birds? Is that so there was the original Angry Birds app, just the one that took off. It was the first big app on the App Store or whatever. Big game.
Right.
And then later on, they turned it into this giant phenomenon. Now they came out with Angry Birds 2.
Okay.
Which was basically the same app, I guess, with just I don't know, updated birds or
better birds,
better physics. I don't know what the difference was. But apparently Angry Birds 1 is no longer even available on the App Store. It's just gone.
Okay, wasn't there an interesting story about Angry Birds where it was created by one person? Is that a thing, or was
I have no
was
idea.
it okay, maybe I shouldn't speak out of line because I don't know enough about the Angry Birds origin story.
Okay.
But I feel like I remember, and it could have been a different app, but there was something about it where it was kind of one of these ideas where it almost sparked a lot of people to want to create their own apps because they were it like took off in such a huge way. And it was like, yeah, if you charge like $1 and like 10 million people sign up for it, that's $10 million.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I know. How exciting would that be?
Wow. To be in the early app game.
The early app game. I know. Now it's a podcast. We should start a podcast.
Everyone has a podcast except you. That's
Actually,
the name of a book that just came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I feel like once a day in our office, we're like, we should start a podcast about this.
You and Scott were literally just talking about starting a podcast where you review the old show Beauty and the Geek, which you were misremember. Both of you had a different idea of what that show was.
Yep.
You were remembering the Bachelor-esque show Average Joe's.
Yes.
Which was where they told a woman that she was basically going to be the bachelorette of the show.
Like off-brand edition.
But the horrible... it seems like such an inappropriate and weird and mean...
Oh, yes. All of it was mean.
The twist of the show is that the guy she's dating are what the network presented as unattractive and not cool.
Yes. It was almost like what they tried to do was be like, yes, you're on a dating show, but every contestant is an average Joe determined by us.
Yes. You're like, by whose scale? By whose scale? What a mean thing.
It was extraordinarily mean. I mean, all of these shows, even in the present day, are I would say they're all mean and they're all very superficial. I would say the only thing at this point is that it is everybody in it is incredibly self-aware about exactly what it is what I want to think.
I hope so.
I hope so. Yes. I mean, at this point, it does feel like there's at least a fair few people. We watched The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and it seems like there's a fair few people that come on with the hopes or goal of maybe becoming like Instagram famous.
Yeah.
But I have no idea. It's almost a trope, I guess, at this point where it feels like lots of contestants, like that is what they do now, is that they're like...
The thing about the show is that The Bachelorette and The Bachelor have this like same formula that happens every season where there's always like a villain of the house and there's always someone who interrupts your time talking to the main person.
Yep.
And the reaction is always the exact same. That if you... Like one of the biggest tropes that happens over and over in the show is someone will interrupt someone else's conversation with like the Bachelor or the Bachelorette.
Yes.
And the other people will go back and they'll complain like, can you believe this person interrupted my time? I think that's so... then they'll have to go confront them or else they'll have to go tell the Bachelor or the Bachelorette that this person's no good. Like they'll bring up other people to the main person. And it's like, if you've watched the show ever, and obviously at this point, everyone on the show is also a big consumer of the show.
Yes.
It's like, how have you not realized or noticed that no matter what, doing this ends badly?
Yes.
Like, no matter what. Like, and yet it happens every time.
Every time.
And I don't know what, like it speaks to either how much more you think you're in control than now that you're in the situation, or how little control any of them actually have.
And that's I think a huge part of it. And I have a feeling as time goes on, we will learn that like the psychological effects of being on the show is that like it's so maybe like restrictive in terms of like what your attention can be applied to, that you're like it. I mean, it's the summer camp effect. Like I remember this all the time, like when I was in middle school and high school and stuff, where I would go to school with, you know, all these people and everything. And like plenty of them maybe like, you know, didn't want to be my friend at school. But then all of a sudden when we were at summer camp, it's like, hey, we both know each other because we both go to the same high school. Now we are BFFs.
Right.
And it's like, that was not the case but now we're
right now you're like they're like, ooh, you're the person I have some familiarity with.
Yes.
So I'm comfortable, I have one more layer of comfort with you.
Right. Yes.
Right.
And it was almost like with that, you sort of had this like special bond while at camp, and then you would like leave camp and it would almost be like it would just go away. You know, it was like it like never seemed like it really like retained its shape once you like left the constraints of summer camp.
Right. Like you have your group of friends over here and that group of friends over here. And whilst we're at camp, we're all hunky dory. But then once we're gone, everyone's just back to normal.
Yes.
Right.
And let me tell you a tale, spin you a web.
Oh, spin me a web.
Yes. So when I was in 6th grade, we had 3 options for the electives that you could take going into middle school. And it was choir, like art, I believe.
Or band.
And
you could do brass or woodwinds.
Brass or woodwinds or percussion.
You did this in 6th grade. I'm sorry. Never mind.
I did it.
Because we switched schools. So yeah.
Oh, we did. Yes.
Yeah,
So you had a slightly different.
Yeah, because so sorry. At the middle school I went to at 6th grade, they split brass and woodwinds. But I think at Cave Spring Junior High or Cave Spring Middle now, it was all one class.
Oh, it was one class.
Yes.
You are correct. You are correct. Yeah, it did seem like it was. I mean, I guess that's how bands work. People were sat with the people, the same instruments that they played.
So
that's not really like dividing you up. That's just sort of how it works.
That's just how it works. But at the old school we went to, it was so much larger that like all of the brass was just one class and all of the woodwinds was just one class.
I have a question for people who are musically inclined. In like symphony orchestras, it is the case that people who play the same instrument are together. Would it affect the sound produced if they were scattered? So it was like saxophone, violin, flute, clarinet, like whatever. Like, would it make the sound more disrupted if not all of the saxophone noises were coming from the saxophone section?
Oh, yeah, like if you were spaced out evenly, wouldn't that make a more full sound?
Maybe.
Or does the fact that they're all together make their sound more full because they're together?
Right, like it's almost as if their like voices are harmonizing as a group. I have no idea how that works.
Ooh, certainly there's no way we've made it to 2021 and musically inclined people haven't considered where people sit.
I know, yeah. Or is it just like, the flute section, we'll put all the flutes together because they like to, they know each other. They all do the same thing.
Oh man, it has to make a difference.
Maybe it does. Although marching bands are out there and they're like walking every which way. Doing things out on the field.
That even that to me, it seems like if you're in the marching band, like if you were like if you play the flute in the marching band, like it's already really hard for people to hear you.
Of course.
Spreading all the flutes out, that's not helping the flute section be heard.
Right.
I would think.
Yeah.
But like in an auditorium, you would think, well, it's not, you're going to hear everyone anyway.
Well, it's a big difference too, because I would say in an auditorium, acoustics are just generally considered.
Right.
Like, whereas in a giant stadium, you're talking about a 5-acre plot of concrete.
Yeah.
They're
not, the stadium's not built to accommodate the marching band first.
Yes.
Yeah. But they will also have to perform there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'm curious about that. That's a question for you listeners out there is, would it matter if people just got to pick their own seats and sit wherever they wanted to and it had absolutely no bearing at all? Like, so a trumpet could sit next to a flutist, next to a saxophonist.
Yeah. I imagine some of the convenience of sitting together is that everyone's like sheet music is different.
Oh, true.
Like the trumpet is not going to read the flute's music and just play the same thing. So to that end, but at like a high enough level, you'd think everyone just has their own little stand or something.
I would think so.
You're not always, at 6th grade concert band sharing the music stand with the person next to you.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. I have no idea. Now I'm very curious. I need to know the answer to that question. Okay, here's another thought too.
Okay.
I've wondered about this, and maybe Beth could actually answer it, your wife, because she's a school teacher, or at least was a school teacher. In not in middle school even, I would say like in elementary school, maybe middle school as well, seating charts were a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. With seating charts, how much consideration, like I felt like it was uncanny how often I was in a quadrant with the girl that I had a crush on in elementary school.
Okay.
And it was like, does the teacher know? And like, are they being like, they're like randomly assigned seats, but Ben, you're right here.
Next to this girl.
Wink.
Again.
Wink. And it's like, thanks, Mrs. Z.
I somehow doubt that your 3rd grade teacher was taking into consideration the romantic interests of the students.
I mean, it seems incredibly unlikely, and obviously we're elementary school students, and the romantic interest, even romantic interest feels like the wrong word choice.
Right.
It's not romantic interest. It's like whatever version of it is at that age.
My interpretation of seating charts was that they were largely a mechanism to take roll faster.
Oh, like alphabetical or something? Or just like
well, certainly at least normally at first, because you would say like alphabetical, like at the beginning of the school year or whatever. So you're always sort of grouped with the same selection of similarly last named people as you.
Sure.
But like then it's very easy for the teacher to just be like like run down in a row based on the attendance list and like just be able to look straight down the room like who's missing right there.
Right.
You don't have to like sit there and call every name. But my other interpretation was I doubt that it was a matter of grouping kids who behaved well together as kids who didn't behave well together away from each other.
Okay.
Is the way I think.
Oh, I see. You know, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Like if you and your best bud are like totally rambunctious and they're not, the teacher doesn't want you sitting together because you're distracting to each other.
Because you're causing mayhem.
Right, exactly. It's like the important thing is that you sit far away from each other.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Or who knows, maybe it was like, these students work well together, so I'll put them together. I don't know. I would think it was more about separating bad students than combining good students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, any teachers out there, my question for you today is, did you ever seat people next to each other because you were like playing Cupid? You know, being like, this is going to work.
That's hilarious.
This is going to work.
I do remember one particular seating chart from my first grade year where somehow we came back and like it was time to switch seats and the teacher had literally put me directly next to my best friend and it was like, no way.
Outstanding.
Great.
And was it allowed to persist?
Well, I think so, but it was still surprising to me.
Huh.
But, whatever.
Do you want to know my only like key memory from first grade?
Okay.
It was a spelling bee.
Yeah.
And maybe not even a spelling bee, spelling test.
Spelling test.
It wasn't like a competition. It was just like learning vocabulary words.
Okay.
And it was the word ocean.
And your only memory from
not my only
first
memory, but
grade,
my most
your
key.
singular memory, lone at all, from a whole year's worth of learning, was
that's
spelling the word ocean on a spelling test.
Ocean. No, not an SH. Little known fact. It's a C. It makes a sh sound.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. How about that?
Did you get it right?
I did. I did, in fact. I did get it right. Turns out. Yeah. And then I later liked oceans quite a bit as an adult. So
I feel like that
was the moment. It was like
learning the spelling.
Right. It's like, when did you first know you were going to like the ocean? First grade.
This is what seems crazy to me, first grade memory now. Like looking back as an adult, I have no idea why or how my first grade teacher made this decision. But whilst in first grade, my teacher got married, like in the middle of the year.
Okay.
Which, man, big deal because first of all, last name change mid-year.
Oh.
Had to adjust to that on the fly.
Yeah.
Big deal for 5-6-year-olds.
Sure.
Like, oh,
yeah.
we got to call you something different now? Oh my God. Oh, it's a lot to keep track of.
It's very taxing.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not the crazy thing. The crazy thing was that our first grade teacher invited the whole class.
What?
To the wedding.
Did you go?
I went.
No way.
I went. Yeah. I was invited to my first grade teacher's wedding.
Wow.
Can you I'm like, and here's the thing. Beth was a teacher when we got married.
Yeah.
Like the idea of inviting her entire class to our wedding is ridiculous.
Sure.
I cannot even fathom floating the idea. I can't imagine her floating the idea.
Being like, you know what we should do? Invite this year's class.
I can't even imagine the parent, even if we were both like, wouldn't this be awesome? Wouldn't it like be such a treat for your students to come to your wedding? I can't even imagine the parents being like, this is appropriate.
This is a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it seems It seems odd. It seems odd.
Right.
Like, I mean, especially not that like I'm not sure that all students end up having a major impression on teachers like year in, year out. Like I bet that there are kids that stick with you for a long time.
Yeah.
But like maybe if it was like your first year of teaching and it was like you weren't acclimated to the idea yet that you would form meaningful relationships with your with the children in your class year in, year out. So it was like maybe it could be the case that if it was your first year teaching and you were like, these kids are so special to me. I cannot believe it. Like they mean so much.
I mean, it's totally possible. And what do I know? Maybe my teacher and her husband were actually super wealthy, and this was no big whoop for them.
Oh, sure. So you're looking at it from like a cost perspective too. Like
also that, because yes, also reception. I remember being at the reception.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Did you have a hot dog?
I don't remember. I remember playing with the ice machine.
For some reason, I am always under the impression that the kids menu at weddings is hot dogs. Like it just, because that's what it would be.
That would be
like a plain hot dog.
Just plain
it's
hot
sort of
dog.
like we fed you.
Yeah.
There was food.
Because the thing is,
nourishment.
You like it's not just that you invited however many kids are in the class.
Yeah.
You probably also had to offer at least
like
a chaperone's worth of invitation as well.
True.
True. That's
I can absolutely tell you that like when we were planning our wedding and we got married at Disney, the food is, where is your microphone? Okay.
Oh, something just happened to my microphone. I don't know. Hold on. We're going to adjust on the fly. Whoa. Whoa. If you're watching,
your microphone just like collapsed.
We're going to pause for a quick moment while I fix the microphone.
Okay. Are you back?
I think I'm back. I don't know. You probably can't tell. Okay. So the coffee table we have the microphones attached to has what you would call a live edge.
It is. It's a swimmingly awesome live edge.
It's a really cool table that Ben and I once won at a silent auction. I don't know if you recall that I think when we purchased it, we
flipped a coin.
We flipped a coin for who would get it, because I think maybe at the time of the party we were living together, but it was in the process of me buying a house or something. And I don't know.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
I know that we ended up winning it, and we had to decide whose house it was going to go to.
Yes.
And we flipped a coin. And if I recall, I won the coin flip, but you ended up with the table.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. I think we discussed it. I think we did. I mean, just for, I don't know that I just was like, no, I'm going to has me that.
I want to say what happened was that I won, and then Beth was like, I don't want that at our house. And I was like, oh, okay.
It matches the aesthetic of my home, I think, slightly better.
It definitely matched the aesthetic of your home much better than mine.
And I would say now it matches the aesthetic of our popcorn culture set perfectly.
You know what? It's found its natural home.
Its habitat.
Its habitat here on the pop.
Yes.
Although so the live edge means that this was just basically the middle of a tree at one point, and it was not cut down to like a square. It's just the shape it was when I guess they cut the top off of the stump. And
now it's here.
But so the microphone doesn't attach super well to the side.
It's not made for it.
Yeah, it's not made for it. It's like it's a clamp, but the clamp has to be a little farther away because the side is at an angle, and my microphone just popped off. So anyway, that's what happened.
It's a classic case of form over function.
Yes. It is.
Right?
Although I don't think the function of most coffee tables is to have microphones attached to it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, so to backpedal though, we were talking about weddings.
Yes.
And my wedding at Disney. And this was something that like I know that during the planning process, like when you're going through, there's a really interesting thing when you're like setting up the plan for a wedding, because you start like to put together the guest list, and it becomes this really big thing really quickly where it's like, well, if you invite them, then you have to invite these people as well. And so it was sort of like a very slippery slope where you had to like draw like really just like weird lines in the sand where it's like, okay, if I'm not going to invite them, it's because of whatever.
Yeah.
But I know that as we got closer to our wedding and you were like very aware of how much it cost per head at the reception, it got to the point where leading up to it, every person who called us and was like, we're so sorry, we're not going to be able to make it to your wedding. Like, thank you so much for inviting us. We were like, no problemo. That is extra good special sauce. Thank you. And I mean, not that we didn't, of course, want, everybody there, but it was like that at some point it was like, that helps. Thank you. Thank you.
That saves.
You did your part.
I feel like what you guys got this like fun. Okay, we used to run into this problem all the time, but I feel like you got to experience this. I don't even know what to call it a problem, but let me describe the situation for you, and you can tell me what you think it is.
Okay, lay it out.
Okay, so I'll use the other example of how you and I used to have season tickets to Virginia Tech football games.
Yep.
Yeah. Once upon a time, every weekend we had 4 tickets.
Yep.
And we would go up and we would tailgate. We would go to the game. It was great.
Yes.
For as long as we had tickets, it seemed like we had one extra one basically every week because me and Beth would come, and then you would come, and then your significant other would not want to come or would not be able to come.
Yes. And it came to be that there was 3 tickets and a gob.
Yes.
Which was our word for guest of Ben.
The guest of Ben. So it was a real honor to be the gob.
Yes,
Indeed.
I thought so. People seem to love it.
People did seem to love it. But so what would happen was that sometimes you would tell the gob in advance, like, hey, do you want to come to the game?
Yes.
And they would be like, of course, super fun. Let's go. It'll be great. But then it'd be like, maybe the games are on Saturdays typically. So maybe it's Friday, and said gob of the week just texts in like, oh my gosh, sorry. Turns out I can't go. We've got another thing that popped up. So sorry. Thanks for offering me the ticket.
Yes.
And we would be left in this weird situation where now at the last minute, we're having to find someone to fill that ticket slot. Like,
yes.
Who
yes,
can we
indeed.
invite? And I don't know. We almost got, I don't know if like cashing in is the right word here, but we got to, because what would happen is we'd invite lots of people, and many people would already have plans.
Yes.
They either had plans with their significant other, or they couldn't just like come. They had a different engagement.
Right.
But the end result was that you got to genuinely offer like 7 people a ticket to the game.
Yes.
And they couldn't go.
Yep.
And so like you ended up with like all this favor, all this
goodwill.
Yeah, like, oh, thanks so much for inviting me. I can't go. And it's like, oh, but like you got to offer the gesture to everyone.
Oh, sure.
And you were left with this like leftover like, it feels like you owe me a favor now or something. Like you couldn't come, but I did offer.
Right.
Kind of thing. Well, like what do you call that? Is that, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because like for us, it was like, no, we want someone to use this ticket.
Of course. No,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for us, it's opportunity cost. You know, it's like
Yeah.
we have paid for the ticket no matter what. So it's like, I would rather anybody come than for it to go just unused.
Yeah.
You know, and like, it's such a, and this is like one of those funny things for me too, like where in my mind, it is like one of my favorite things to do, to go to these football games.
Oh,
like,
dude, yes.
like I love it so much. The very first football game I ever went to was when Michael Vick was playing in 1999, and Virginia Tech crushed Syracuse. I think it was 63-0, and it was like like so much fun for me. And I was like, I want this as much as humanly possible. And so I do think, yeah, like when I was extending this to people, it was like, I think in my mind, I was always like offering like a really, really, really great thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, for many people, it may be like, it sounds like fun to go to a football game for the day, but I am busy. And I don't know, like in my mind, it was like,
I do wonder
what greater
about
thing could I offer?
I do wonder about this as well. Yeah. Because it did always feel like if I could go to a game, I was there.
Yes.
Like, and I don't think it's that uncommon, especially like if you're from here.
Sure.
And especially if you like grew up rooting for the Hokies, because there is no professional sports team around here.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
everyone in our area is extremely bought in.
Everyone is extremely bought in, especially largely because of that single year where Michael Vick took the Hokies to the national championship.
Right. The Sugar Bowl.
The Sugar Bowl. And for 23 years after, the Hokies had like the longest bowl streak of any college.
Right.
And they were having like 10-win seasons, and they were like always in it. Like they were always good.
Yep.
Not the case at the moment. Whatever. But the atmosphere at the games is just so contagious and so fun.
Yes.
And like if you ever have a chance to go to a Virginia Tech game in Blacksburg at Lane Stadium, I highly recommend it. Even if you don't like
as
football.
the gob.
Yeah, but especially if Ben invites you, my goodness.
Please go. Please, like, I'm asking, but like it's really you're doing me a favor.
Yeah, but so it's been interesting to like have friends who've like moved to the area and who have like they're like not tuned into like maybe they watch football or they have like a college football team they root for, but it's not the same.
Right.
Like they don't understand. Then it's like, no, you should come to the game. It's like, what? You want me to just go to a football game? Like, would you invite me to your old high school football game? Like,
what an obligation.
Yeah, I know. I was like, no, you don't understand. This is way different. It's so much fun. The play under Sandman is the whole state. Oh, it's so fun. But,
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where exactly.
So okay, but you had originally brought it up because of the Disney wedding. Was this something that like I got to do? Was like offer people to like?
Yeah, it was like you had like a waiting. It seemed like you had like a waiting list of people, and as people dropped off, it was like way too close to the wedding to realistically book flights or decide. Yep, I can take 4 days off of work to go to a wedding in Disney World. On like, you know, it's not that it wouldn't have been possible, but it's just that it's a big trip.
It's a big trip,
an expensive trip.
Yeah,
that at the last minute might be hard to throw together. Right. But I do remember this like turntable of like, well, this person can't come anymore, so who else can we call? And it was like, now this person is like honored with an invitation to the Disney World wedding. That like, oh my god, I'm so honored you invited me. I don't know if we can make it.
People's reactions were like remarkably heartwarming.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny, I guess I hadn't really like thought about it through this particular perspective, but now that you bring it up, I can sort of see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and I remember that though. Like, I mean, the people like, especially because if they couldn't go, like people were really looking into it and like trying to rearrange things and like the whole sort. And
yeah.
I was like, man, that's so cool that they want to go so bad.
Oh,
it means a lot to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I was in 6th grade band.
Okay. Hard left turn.
Right back to my story. So, because I want to talk about the summer camp effect, because I got to experience it in full force, and it was honestly like it was like the biggest high and then low ever for me.
Oh, okay.
In my middle school career.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So this was the thing. Basically, I really didn't know what to do, and I now looking back on it, I've wondered before if I wouldn't have minded. I'm not artistic at all, but if I wouldn't have minded learning how to sing, because I actually feel like that's like it's like a skill that I feel like I would love to know how to do it.
Right.
But at the time, choir for some reason did not feel like an option. Like it was like, I don't know. I was like, it was like the first one I rolled out. It's like, well, I'm definitely not doing choir. Not that.
Okay.
And so I decided the big selling point for me was basically that if you did band for 3 years and you made it to advanced band, then you got to go on the band trip to New York City.
Yes, the band trip. I went on the band trip to New York City.
To New York City. And it was like this big thing where I was literally playing like the what is it? The long game.
Yeah,
that's the word. That's the long game.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing the long game.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, that's like really what it came down to. Is I was like, I really want to go to New York City with the band trip in 8th grade.
Yeah, so, I think you could go before then.
Could you go before then?
I remember there being 7th graders on my band trip.
You're right. There were 7th graders because that was part of my story.
Okay.
Interesting. Yes. So okay, my middle school experience was very like interesting and odd and unusual and probably remarkably typical. But I was like the quote unquote air quotes new kid in 6th grade because we had moved from like one town to another. And so like when I arrived at Cave Spring High School, middle school, junior high, there was, I think, a fair amount of intrigue that like surrounded me because I was like the new kid. Mm-hmm. And that sort of like manifested at the end of my first year of 6th grade, where I had this like summer where I don't know, I became like in vogue.
Oh,
like, you know, where it was like
Ben in Vogue.
Ben in Vogue.
That sounds like a sitcom.
Right? I know. About 6th grade me. Going to the pool every day. No. So I like, that was the thing though. I had this like one summer where it was so odd and unusual and like in unprecedented any other point in my life. But it was, and I actually think it had a huge impact on my later dating years in like middle school and high school. It was sort of like I was of interest, and it was like just, it was like every girl that was like in my immediate surroundings had like a crush on me, and it was like,
wow,
it was,
wow,
I know.
humble of you.
I would only tell this story because of how I feel like it ultimately played out.
What a hard life you had, Ben.
Thank you. I know.
No, continue.
Let me complain more about my extreme popularity as a 11-year-old.
Yeah, you're winning. I'd just like to take this opportunity to plug the tier Jazzy J over on the Patreon.
Wow. Well, so anyway, what happened though was it had an expiration date. So like I had like one summer where it was just sort of like, I could not believe the number of people who would like, like write me a note, because that was a thing then.
Oh yeah.
They would like write a note and they would like fold it in a really cool way that had like, like it would like stay shut unless you like unfolded it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was the best.
Right.
I never learned how to do it though, and I was always so impressed whenever someone handed me one. But so like yes, I had this summer where a whole bunch of people like expressed interest in me, and I was like, whoa, this is unbelievable, and I had no idea how to like handle this kind of attention or like what to do with it or anything at all.
Sure.
And basically it just sort of like ran out. And by the time we got to 7th grade, it was like, it was over. That was it. It was like,
that was it.
It was like, I had all of the moments where someone could be interested in me happen all at once. And it was in one summer, and then it was over.
Right. You were just like front loaded with all the romantic interest you would
ever get from the school. So, I mean, and so it sort of became this thing where I felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, am I popular? Like, this is so cool. I don't know what to do with it. And, so I got to, 7th grade, 8th grade, just sort of, was my regular old self, no longer popular Ben. Mm-hmm. And I remember that like when the band trip was coming up, there was this like sort of odd thing that happened where I don't know, like I ended up being like the guy. It happened again on the band trip.
Oh, like all of a sudden, like maybe collectively the interest in you had, like everyone sort of like, okay, Ben's out, or like
been there, done that.
Done that.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden there was like, you existed inside of a vacuum situation again.
Precisely. Once again. Yes. And it was like, I literally this, it feels so like ridiculously catty to like refer to it this way, but it was like the popular guys at my school, I guess, were not in band. And so they did not go on this trip. But then I was there, and all of a sudden there was like 3 days where it like completely resurfaced. And it was like all of a sudden where I like, if I wasn't surrounded by all of the other guys in my class, I was of extreme interest once again.
I see.
For like a very 3-day period.
How weird.
I know. And it was like really odd, but I remember it was like a really big deal because we're on all these like Abbott buses and stuff, and you're like going to like Broadway shows and like wax museums and stuff, and like so you're always sort of like bustling about. And every time we got on the bus, it was always this big thing where like there were like people like trying to sit next to me. And that became like the currency of the trip, was like, who sits next to you on the bus?
Right. You were like 10th in line for the throne, but managed to find a situation where the other 9 people were effectively dead.
Yes, precisely. The Game of Thrones.
That's right.
Where the throne is a bus seat. And I was atop it. So I have no idea where this story is going, other than I think it was such a ridiculously prime example of the summer camp phenomenon.
Right. You had this like, weird social effect shift the spotlight to you in a very unexpected way. But okay, so this was the other part of the story, and why 7th graders were important to it was because when I was in 6th grade, the people that were interested in me that one summer, best summer of my life. Not really. I hope not.
No, it was like they were all like the people in my grade, because it wasn't like we were hanging out with 5th graders. Seriously.
Yeah.
But then when those 5th graders became 7th graders and they were on the band trip with us, it was like that was where like a lot of the interest was coming from, was like the 7th graders.
Oh, I see.
And so then what happened is I had expired like with the 8th graders, my classmates, and then also the 7th graders.
Wow.
And so as I went through high school, it was almost like everybody had been like, yeah, we've been interested in before, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's boring.
So your flame burns hot and short, it sounds like.
Exactly. Yes. So it's like I can be interesting for just morsels of time, and then it goes away. And then what happened was, though, in high school, is that I dated literally no one that went to my school. It was like every single person
Right.
was always from like different schools. And it wasn't until this conversation that I feel like I've finally realized why that was the case.
What was the reason?
It was because I had already, I mean, like, you know, the people that may have been interested in me had already done it. They'd already been there.
Man, well, this gives me hope for being the one true host one day. I'll say, you know, maybe your time in the sun at the pool during your 6th grade summer is coming to a close, and everyone can go to patreon.com/popcornculture. And, you know, if you want to sign up for Jazzy J or switch, you know, that's fine. That's, you know, Ben's time is obviously burning out. You don't want to be caught like the rest of the kids in his class who were like, had interest in Ben way after it was cool.
Right. Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't be those kids.
Right. I know. And it's so true. Like right now we're on episode 63 of Popcorn Culture, but imagine when we get to episode 630,
right,
where it's going to be like, remember for the first 10% of the show when I was the host?
Wouldn't that be insane?
That would be insane.
If somehow your lead as the one true host not only was like, I can't even imagine a point in the future where somehow I have hosted the same number of shows as you, but like that would somehow continue to the point where you being the host was a laughable memory from the start of the show.
Laughable memory.
Like,
laughable memory.
Can't even fathom such
Jay,
a thing.
This is why you have to keep intrigue alive throughout the entire process.
What is this? Are you wearing glasses? Okay, for those just listening, out of nowhere, Ben has produced a pair of glasses on his face.
The element of surprise.
I didn't see it coming.
I didn't expect you to.
well, you weren't wearing glasses.
Well, yeah, you know. But you know, I figured like I was like, well, what is Jay doing right? Glasses.
Yeah.
And surely I should get some.
Yeah.
So these are non-prescription clear frame glasses.
Okay, but that you purchased and intend to wear as a stylish thing.
As a stylish thing.
Yeah.
Well, once upon a time when I was like, hey, we should have a video version of the pop. Mm-hmm. Like we should have the conversation, but also tape it.
Yeah.
With videotape. Not really.
Yeah.
We use digital tape.
I was gonna say if we were filming this with videotape or like film, that'd be a decision.
Yeah. But so I was like, I've always wanted to like really like, you know, stretch my muscles a little bit.
Yeah.
And be like, what could I try? And so this week's try was clear frame glasses.
All right. Well, I'll have you know that I am growing a beard.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I will see you next year. No.
Please do it. Please do it.
I don't think Beth would approve of facial hair at this point. It's been so long.
It's been so long.
So you went for the clear frames.
Went for the clear frames. This is actually it was very funny. So we go mountain biking. We've talked about it plenty of times before, but with mountain biking, there is like it is recommended to wear eye protection because especially if you're like riding behind someone else, they can like kick up, you know, dirt, debris, rocks, whatever. And, you know, if you're on a bike going fast and something's in your eye, it can obviously, you know, cause you to fall or potentially get hurt. And so I have been wearing like just sunglasses this whole time because I don't typically wear, I don't actually require glasses at all. And one of the things I've been looking for is like clear frame or not frame, but clear lens glasses, because sometimes it's like overcast or like when you're in the woods, it's just shady anyway.
Yeah.
And sunglasses can almost like impair your vision.
Yeah. So part of the reason you're wearing the sunglasses is to block the sun, but perhaps even the greater reason is to protect your eyes.
Protect your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say for me, that is the greater of the two reasons is because especially like once you're in the woods, the sun's not really a big problem anyway. So these are blue blocker glasses that I'm wearing. And this was like literally my solution to the problem of I cannot find a sunglass company that is just selling a pair of clear lens glasses. And I was like, you know what? There are tons of these like blue blocker glasses out there, and I was like, I'm just gonna get those.
So you're gonna wear these cycling now, is what I'm hearing.
That's basically what my game plan is.
Gotcha.
Not exclusively for the pop, and possibly not even for future pops, but we'll see.
Yeah.
This is going to be like my real challenge is can I have a notable piece of intrigue every week so that those folks watching the show are like, this is why we watch.
So right. So I do remember before we were on video, you were saying you were just so excited about being able to flex your fashion choices on the pop.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Well, really, it's not even flex them because I don't know that they exist. It's like, can I can I like advance my fashion? Because it would be like, this would be like a really fun way to be like, okay, I'm gonna try new things. I'm gonna try to be ambitious, daring, cutting edge.
Okay, so on that note, I will say that interestingly, last week when we premiered the first video version of the pop, dare I say, it was instead myself who swept most of the fashion talk.
You did!
Yeah.
Swept it right out from underneath me
right.
with your spectacular socks.
Yeah.
Which, the day that you wore them, I myself commented on them. I was like, are these different socks? Some are stripes and some are stars?
Yes.
How do?
Yeah, so if you weren't watching, my socks last week were one side striped, one side stars. So,
on purpose.
On purpose, yeah. We had many comments about how I must have bought 2 pairs and then mixed matched. Let me tell you, no. They came mismatched. It's almost like they were trying to look like the American flag on purpose, which is exactly what they were trying to do. And
do you know that I feel like if we had a brand deal with that sock company, or if we just sold those socks, I think that it would have been the most successful merch we have ever had, ever. Because we're sitting there in the chat with the premiere of the video episode, and I mean, I feel like 40% of the comments are the intrigue attached to your socks.
Yeah, well, so because half the episode I was sitting with my 1 foot up on my knee, and that I for longer than expected, I was like, you know what, I can't wait to see what people say when they see the other sock. And like for way longer into the episode than I would have expected, I didn't switch legs.
Yeah,
but then sure enough, as soon as I did, people were like, whoa, what the are you wearing different socks?
Now people are going to change the phrase to be waiting for the other sock to drop.
Waiting for the other sock to drop.
Maybe that should be our new business idea. Let me pitch one to you.
Okay.
Socks that are different from one another.
Yeah. Mismatched socks.
Mismatched socks.
But like that do match.
That's the thing. They're different from one another, but they're like in scheme with one another.
Right. Yeah. So these were obviously different in that there were stars and stripes, but clearly they were the American flag.
We could just call it mismatchedsocks.com. I bet it already exists.
Probably.
But
who's to say?
We just plugged them.
And I considered heavily going for this. Well, here's the other thing, is that people were surprised that I wasn't. The other thing wasn't that I was wearing different socks, is that I was not wearing shoes.
You never wear shoes.
Yeah, I'm wearing them right now. It's just very rare for me.
Yeah.
To be recording any piece of content with shoes on.
Right.
This is such a weird feeling, and I want to know if other people have similar situations. But it literally, like when we go to record like SuperCarlinBrothers or the pop or whatever, if there is like stuff on my feet, I feel, or shoes particularly, I feel like boxed in or something. Like it is affecting the ways in which my brain can like move about because my feet are like stuck in my shoes, which I don't know if that makes sense at all, but it is literally how I feel.
It is so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's not weird. I think it's fine, but it's very interesting to me because I would almost not argue. I'm the exact opposite from you in this way.
Okay.
Like I feel like I'm maybe a little bit exposed if I'm not wearing shoes.
Okay.
And so like at night, like when I get home, Alice will go upstairs and like at 6 o'clock at night and change into like comfy clothes, pajamas, like yoga pants, like whatever.
Yeah.
Cozy socks. And I will all the way up until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night when like we're getting ready to like go upstairs to bed, I will still be wearing my shoes and jeans on the couch, like full get up from the whole day. Like,
man,
at no point in time does it occur to me like I need to get out of these materials.
So you okay.
So like I will literally be like, if you were to text me at 10:30 at night and be like, are you still wearing your shoes? I could send you a picture with my shoes on.
So you like sit on the couch and like put your feet up on the coffee table with shoes on.
Yeah, sure do.
Oh my gosh. You're like a monster.
A monster.
What is this? I do not understand. Because I don't understand.
Why? Like, are shoes supposed to be uncomfortable?
Not uncomfortable, but just like the part that is comfortable is walking around like on unfamiliar surfaces. Like to me, having them on is less comfortable than not having them on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think really what it is like, it's not even a consideration for me. It's like, I don't think about it. I'm not preoccupied with my shoes. in any way, shape, or form.
I feel like they're getting in my way.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's like, I would say it's literally just not even on my radar.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's not that I'm like making a decision or that I'm like pro shoes or something like that. Like if anything, I almost feel like it would probably benefit my entire household to just take my shoes off as soon as I walk in the door.
Right. Like you're just getting dirt everywhere.
You're just getting dirt everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who are going to be like, wow, you are a barbarian.
Barbarians. But so like what you're saying is like if Alice said, wouldn't you be more comfortable with your shoes off, or why don't you take your shoes off? You would be like, oh yeah, I guess I could. Or like you're not like keeping them on purpose.
Nope.
Okay.
Definitely not that.
It's just like, I think it's just that they remain on.
They just remain on. Like it doesn't occur to me. It would be like, to me, it would almost be like if I was sitting on the couch at night and was just like, oh yeah, I need to take my shirt off, and like for no reason other than like, it's confining.
Yeah.
Like it would never cross my mind.
Yeah. Well, I will say like, I do take my shoes off almost as soon as I get home.
Okay.
But
and here at the office for that matter.
And here, that's true. I think there is something about like literally being able to feel the ground beneath you. That just like makes me feel like more like connected.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, like I haven't really thought about it that much, but I'm like, why do I do this? Because I do it all the time. In fact, I would say at my old like office job, I would largely just walk around in socks.
Yes.
And this was like, is even like part of my strategy for like wearing funny socks. It was like, you know what? If I just become known for wearing funny socks, like maybe if you just had really boring socks, people would be like, it's more professional to wear shoes around.
Sure.
But like I was like, no. Socks, like it's a funny sock thing is like Jonathan's thing. So
funny sock guy.
Funny sock thing. Or like, oh, he's always got such different socks. Like it's like everyone knows it would be more professional, but like we sort of just let it slide.
Sure.
Like this was the game I was playing in my head. I have no idea if anyone thought that, or maybe they all thought like, I really, really wish you would wear shoes. Or I don't know why. I don't know why it would make any difference to anyone, but
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why either. But anyway.
Did you win this game? Were you able to get away with it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I certainly did. No one ever brought it up to me that I should or shouldn't be.
Everyone's like, someone's got to tell him.
So,
like, someone has got to tell him.
Yeah. Then you play that game of like, yeah, crazy sock chicken. We're like, who's going to, like, is it worth bringing up? Is this the hill I want to die on today?
This happens so often when things go on for like a little bit too long and you don't know how to like break what has become like normal.
Yeah.
And the absolute worst is when you do not know someone's name.
Oh,
and it's like, how long can you go without asking? Because the longer you've gone and you still haven't figured it out, the worse it is that you still don't know.
Yes.
I remember like Alice and I, like kind of pre-quarantine shutdown period of time, we have like a sushi restaurant that we love to go to.
Yeah.
And for the longest time we had like the same waitress all the time. And it was like, know her name. Oh no. And every time, and like it was the type of thing like where I think it came up that like I did YouTube, and so then like I think she started like following both of us on like Instagram and stuff like that, and so like it became one of these incredibly imbalanced things.
Yeah.
That she knew a lot about us and like what was happening in our world.
Right.
And it was like, we don't know your name.
Oh, embarrassing.
But eventually we did, and then it was great. We became friends.
Great.
So
I can tell you that in a very, this was somewhat maybe worse, is that there was a time where I was dating a girl for I think about like 4 months.
And you didn't know her name?
No, I knew her name. Okay. And like obviously
if you say so.
She knew my name, but she would always call me John instead of like Jonathan.
Sure.
And this was like one of those things where like we had been like, people who were effectively like lab partners or something for, the final 9 weeks of the last year of school.
Sure.
And that's where like, we like met and became friends, but she would have like known who I was just as a member of the class for a while.
Yep.
And, we weren't like so close that it was like even worth correcting. Even when you just sit next to someone, how often are you referring to them by name?
Oh, that's a good point.
You just like, you just start talking to them. You're not like, hey person, hey Ben.
Right.
So anyway, the fall, go through summer, come back. We, actually started dating, and she would just call me John all the time. And it was just one of those like, I've known you a little too long to sort of tell you that I don't like being called John. Like,
how do I bring
like,
it up?
how do I bring it up that you have been calling me your boyfriend the wrong? Because it's also not like so wrong.
Right.
It's not that unusual to call people named Jonathan John, or to even think that they wouldn't just like have it normalized for them.
I know. We have a friend named Matthew who prefers to go by Matthew and not Matt.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know this about him, and it's like still that urge is there to be like, Matt, yeah, hey. And it's like, no. Prefers Matthew.
Yes.
Get it right.
Yes.
Like, and it's like, yeah, it's exactly like that. And I could so see it too, because I know you, and of course I've known you forever, and so I know that you have this particular preference, which is why I call you Jay on purpose. It's an elaborate ruse.
Totally you got me. But yeah, so this was a hilarious thing where the entire time we were dating, like, I never corrected it at all, and like we broke up and like we remained friends, well after the fact and stuff like that,
right?
But it was like over a year later or something where it came up in a conversation where like she was like just part of the group conversation. I was like, oh, I actually prefer to be called Jonathan. And like you could see this like memory like all of a sudden like rewind and replay in her head, like, what? She's like, wait. Was like, she's like
the whole time?
She was like, wait, have you always preferred that? And I was like, yeah. She was like, but did you prefer that when we were dating? And I was like, yes.
Oh no!
I was like, so it was just sort of this funny. I was like, it was not really a big deal because like when you grow up,
did you assure her that it wasn't a big deal?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't worry. I mean, it's just one of those things when you grow up as a Jonathan, people will address you as John all the time.
Sure.
Because we've talked about this before, but people just don't like saying the whole word Jonathan. I mean, and I get it. It's a long word. There's like 8 letters there. It's you're probably out of breath at the end.
Okay. Did you know that I thought that it was on purpose? Because my name is Benjamin.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was on purpose that both of our names have 8 letters for like a very long period of time.
except that Tyler doesn't.
Except that Tyler doesn't. Yeah. It's like, well, I just ran out of letters for him.
Nope.
Yeah, but nobody calls. Well, occasionally people call me Benjamin, but not often.
Yeah.
Usually when people do it, it's like they're being very whimsical about it.
Yeah.
Like very, very hyper formal, which I love.
Right.
Actually, everybody who writes in feedback to the popcornculturepod@gmail.com address, they know to give me very formal greetings.
I see.
And I love it so very much. It's just the very best.
Yeah. And so that is a weird thing that doesn't even come up that much anymore because of SuperCarlinBrothers, where you just call me Jay, and that's just what everyone knows me as now, and it's become so normal for everyone to call me that it's like I don't mind it or anything.
Oh, thank goodness! Yeah. And you're welcome.
It's so funny because it was such like a just within the family thing. I think probably because both of our names had such long or 8 letters. I think we probably my theory is that instead of having, like when we were being called to dinner as children, instead of saying Jonathan, Benjamin, and Tyler, Mom would just say JB and T. JB and T. And so you and Tyler have 1-syllable nicknames that go with your name anyway, with Ben and Ty.
Well,
obviously I have John, but John is also our dad's name.
True.
So that's confusing to have 2.
Right.
Yeah. So just straight to J.
Straight to J.
Which was fine. Like, I don't mind or anything.
The hilarious thing about both of these is that, like, in my mind, your John is always Jon. Yeah. And Dad's John is John.
Yes.
And they sound the exact same, but I can hear the difference. And then similarly, I call you Jay, but it's not like J.
Right.
It's like the letter J.
Right.
The singular, not Jay.
I had a roommate in college, Jay.
Yeah. And he's definitely Jay.
Oh, he's Jay.
100%. 100%. And like I could have conversation with both of you. I could have third party talking about you, and I would know exactly who was who.
Right. Yeah. No need to specify otherwise.
Right. It's like, who's bringing the hot dogs? Jay.
Yeah.
Who's bringing the skis? Jay. I'm like, oh, I see.
Okay.
I get it completely. I'm not confused at all. Hot dogs and skis.
Hot dogs and skis. Why is someone else bringing the skis for the whole group?
I don't know.
Okay.
And I was just trying. I just thought of a Jay Nelson type of thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great.
So
He was on the ski team.
He was. Yeah. Maybe that's why I was top of brain. Okay. So why don't we go to the corny joke? Because we tried to do it in the first like 14 seconds.
Wow.
And then we are now about an hour in and we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're right here at the end.
Right here at the end. How about a corny joke? Right.
Let's
so
hear
this
it.
This one comes from Jackson Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Emailed in.
We've come full circle.
We have come full circle.
You know what's great about circles?
Were you about to
I was
tangent
going to
away?
see if we could tangent off again.
Okay. Jay, what did the shy pebble wish for?
What did the shy pebble?
The adorable little shy pebble.
I don't know. Maybe to be in a rock band or something. I don't know.
That's actually not a bad answer.
Not bad?
That's not a
Okay.
bad answer.
Yeah.
No. But this one's even more adorable.
Okay,
you
let's
ready?
hear it.
That he could be a little boulder.
Okay.
You get it, because he's a shy pebble,
Right,
like, you know, like a little boulder. Yeah.
Okay, that's better. That's
Right,
better.
right.
I was like, he's shy, so he wishes he could be in a rock band, so because that would help him overcome his shyness. But that's like one too many steps.
One too many, yeah.
Of
right.
like
He's
leaps.
not,
So yeah,
maybe not quite there yet.
yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to break it to this pebble that's not how rocks grow up, though.
No, really, it sounds like what you need to break it to is the boulders, that they're probably going to be pebbles.
Shy pebbles at that.
Yeah, shy pebbles.
Right.
They have only memories of when they were boulder.
When they were boulder.
All rocks are constantly losing courage.
Yes, like the summer after 6th grade. If the rocks only knew.
Ben was a boulder, but now he is but a pebble.
But a pebble.
Yes.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm very pebbly.
Very pebbly.
Yeah.
Great.
Guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Pop. Also want to remind you that we do have a really cool, I called it a special offer last week, but it's not technically a special offer. It's just the perk itself over on Patreon, where we have created a new tier level altogether. It is $25 a month. And basically with that tier, you will get a piece of quarterly popcorn culture merch.
Yeah.
And to kick off our first round of it, we are releasing Fred the Cup, which is going to be a custom engraved Yeti mug tumbler,
Yes.
as it were, that you can name whatever you want. I call mine Fred. I actually have one here in my hand. If you're watching visually speaking, right there. Nice
It looks so glorious.
Nice and glorious.
Yeah.
So that will be for the first quarter of the year. That will be the first piece of merch that comes out with it. It's still the same rules where we have 3 tiers all at that same level. So if you would like to be able to cast your vote for who is the one true host of popcorn culture, you can still do that just as effectively as at our current $5 tier.
Yes.
Both tiers will, of course, still come with the After the Final Pop, which is the bonus bit of content that we record after each episode.
That's right.
If you'd like an extra 15, 20 minutes of Jay and I rambling on about something else.
Yep.
Sometimes there's some real quality stuff that happens in there.
Oh, absolutely. They've been getting, I feel like, progressively longer.
Yeah, we're like kind of long-winded folk, I feel. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Pop. If you want to check all that out, you can do so at patreon.com/popcornculture, or else be sure to leave a review. Always helps, the podcast continue to grow and develop, and for other folk out there to be like, wow, this must be good stuff.
Wow.
Because look at all those reviews.
Look at how popular.
That whole feeder of kernels has stepped in and left really, really positive remarks.
Yes.
Yes. Otherwise, guys, until next week.
Pop, pop.